A loyal maid, accused of stealing a priceless heirloom, stood alone in a courtroom, facing a millionaire's wrath. The world branded her a thief, her pleas drowned by wealth and power. Just when hope seemed lost, the millionaire's young daughter burst in, her voice trembling with a secret that would unravel the truth and shock everyone. Maria had served the Kensington family for a decade, her hands polishing their sprawling mansion's marble floors, her heart warmed by their youngest, Lily. The Kensingtons were old money, their names synonymous with influence. Richard Kensington, a reserved widower, ran the family empire, while his new wife, Victoria, flaunted her status. Lily, Richard's 10-year-old daughter from his first marriage, adored Maria, seeing her as a confidant. Maria, in her 30s, was quiet, diligent, and fiercely loyal, treating Lily like her own. The mansion, a labyrinth of chandeliers and secrets, buzzed with staff. But Victoria's sharp eyes missed nothing. One morning, a ruby necklace, a family treasure, vanished from Victoria's suite. The house erupted in chaos. Victoria, quick to point fingers, accused Maria, claiming she was the only one with access. Maria's protests were ignored. Victoria's word was law. Richard, torn between his wife's insistence and his trust in Maria, stayed silent. The staff whispered, and Lily clung to Maria, confused. Maria's world, built on years of service, crumbled as Victoria's accusations spread like wildfire. The police were called, and Maria was escorted out, her apron still tied, tears staining her face. The Kensington name carried weight, and the community believed Victoria's claim without question. Maria, now a pariah, faced a trial with no lawyer, no money, and no allies, except Lily, who promised to stand by her. The accusation hit Maria like a storm. Dragged from the mansion, she faced neighbors' stares and whispered gossip. At the police station, officers treated her like a criminal, though they lacked evidence. Released but summoned to court, Maria returned to her tiny apartment, her name now tied to theft. The media pounced, with headlines screaming, "Maid betrays Kensington legacy." Victoria fueled the narrative, leaking stories of Maria's suspicious behavior to reporters. The public devoured it, painting Maria as a greedy opportunist. Richard, pressured by Victoria, didn't defend Maria, though doubt gnawed at him. Lily, heartbroken, asked her father why Maria was gone, but he brushed her off, saying it was adult business. Victoria kept Lily distracted with gifts, but the girl's loyalty to Maria held firm. Maria, alone, sifted through memories of that day, recalling Victoria's odd behavior, how she'd lingered near the safe, dismissing Maria early. No one listened when Maria mentioned this. The Kensingtons' influence silenced questions. The trial loomed, and Maria, with no legal support, felt the weight of a system stacked against her. Her savings drained, she couldn't afford a lawyer, and former colleagues avoided her, fearing Victoria's wrath. The community she'd served now shunned her, and Maria's hope faded, replaced by a resolve to face the truth, no matter the cost. Maria's nights were sleepless, haunted by the betrayal. She walked the city with her head down, avoiding judgmental glances. Determined to fight, she gathered what little evidence she could. Pay stubs proving her honesty, a letter from a former employer praising her integrity. At a legal aid clinic, she met Emma, a young lawyer fresh from school, moved by Maria's story. Emma, inexperienced but passionate, offered to represent her for free. Together, they pieced together the day of the theft. Maria recalled Victoria's insistence on cleaning the suite alone that morning, a detail Emma noted as suspicious. They learned the mansion's security cameras were malfunctioning that day, a claim Emma doubted. She tried contacting staff, but most refused to talk, intimidated by Victoria. One gardener, recently fired, hinted Victoria had a history of blaming others for her mistakes. Emma filed motions to delay the trial, seeking more evidence, but the Kensington's lawyer, a seasoned professional, pushed back. The media frenzy grew, with Victoria portraying herself as a victim. Maria felt the world closing in, but Emma's belief in her sparked hope. They prepared for court, knowing they faced a Goliath. Maria clutched a drawing Lily had slipped her, a picture of them together, reminding her why she fought. The courtroom was a battlefield, packed with reporters and Victoria's allies. Maria, in her worn coat, stood alone beside Emma, facing the Kensington's lawyer, who painted her as a cunning thief. He presented the necklace's value, Maria's access, and Victoria's testimony, twisting facts to fit his narrative. Maria spoke, her voice steady, denying the theft. But the crowd seemed unmoved. Emma argued passionately, pointing out the lack of evidence and the camera's convenient failure, but the judge remained skeptical. Victoria sat smugly, whispering to Richard, who looked uneasy but silent. Lily, seated in the back with her nanny, watched, her small hands clenched. As the prosecution rested, the courtroom doors swung open. Lily, defying her nanny, ran to the front, shouting, "Maria didn't do it!" Gasps filled the room. The judge, startled, allowed her to speak. Lily, trembling but clear, said she saw Victoria hide the necklace in a drawer, muttering about teaching Maria a lesson. She'd overheard Victoria plan to frame Maria to secure her place in the family. The courtroom erupted. Reporters scribbled furiously. Victoria paled, denying it. But Lily's details, describing the drawer and Victoria's words, were too precise. Emma seized the moment, demanding an investigation. The judge paused the trial, ordering a search of the mansion. The search uncovered the necklace in Victoria's drawer, exactly as Lily described. The courtroom reconvened, and Emma presented the evidence, dismantling Victoria's lies. The judge declared Maria innocent, condemning the rushed accusations. Victoria faced charges of perjury and defamation, her reputation shattered. Richard, ashamed, apologized to Maria, admitting he'd been blinded by Victoria's influence. The media shifted, hailing Maria as a symbol of resilience. Offers poured in, jobs, interviews, but Maria wanted peace. She declined, focusing on healing. Lily, now closer to Maria, visited often, their bond unbreakable. Richard, humbled, vowed to support them, funding a scholarship in Maria's name for disadvantaged women. Maria, with Emma's encouragement, took a quiet job teaching, finding purpose in helping others. Victoria, stripped of influence, faded from the public eye. Maria walked freely, no longer a pariah, her dignity restored. Lily's courage had turned the tide, proving truth could prevail against power.